Raghu, I heard that there are rare cases of infant inborn metabolic disorders, and it is very difficult to treat them. And also that I have heard that you have formulated special supplement for treating these cases. And can you elaborate more on this?
Sure. You see, these inborn metabolic disorders are very rare. One in 10,000 to 40,000 to lakh and all that, but they do happen. And when they happen, most of the time it goes undiagnosed because they have not been screened for genetic disorders. See, typically what is this inborn metabolic disorder? The infant is born with one or two enzymes not being able to express. Okay, so they lack certain enzymes, digestive enzymes. Because they lack those digestive enzymes, whatever food that we eat, be it even mother's milk or the weaning food or the infant food, whatever food they take, all these foods contains either an amino acid or a fatty acid or some type of sugars or minerals and vitamins. But when you do not have a certain enzyme, particularly for the energy giving nutrients like protein and its components like amino acid, fats and fatty acids, sugars, starch and sugar components, when you do not have an enzyme, for example, you take glucose, the enzyme is glucose, lactose, enzyme is lactase. So like that, there is for every nutrient there is an enzyme. Enzymes are called molecular seizers. They cut up and break it open and digest them into their system, release energy and use them for muscle building or whatever. But what happens when an infant born doesn't have a gene for the expression of this particular enzyme, then those infants are considered as having these inborn metabolic disorders. The popular one, the very well known infant metabolic disorder is the PKU, phenylalanine ketonuria. You would see this whenever there is a soft drink with artificial sweetener added, then they say not for children with PKU, because there's a reaction to that.
Observed that.
So what happens? So there are children born with these disorders. Sometimes they are wrong. They are not diagnosed properly, and they are treated wrongly. Sometimes good doctors, pediatrician, would be able to subject them for a gene screening and able to find out, yes, this particular gene is lacking, this particular enzyme is not being expressed in the infant's body. Then the only solution is to design a food that is devoid of that particular nutrient that the infant lacks the enzyme for.
Got it.
That is the way you need to design. So I am involved in giving this kind of nutrition formulations for infants born with metabolic disorders, and we work with some of the leading hospitals in the country. What I understand from these leading institutions is that we are the only people involved in giving solutions to these metabolic disorders. I'm quite happy and proud about that. But I know that this is a serious problem. Sometimes I wonder that we have large institutions in the country,
right,
large hospitals in the country, and why not that we, how is it that we haven't been able to provide a good solution for these inborn metabolic disorders? Because right now, anywhere, anybody in the country or even outside the country, if they have a child suffering from inborn metabolic disorders, we would be happy to help them in formulating. I understand that being a scientific community and being able to formulate at a low price and things like that, it does help people, parents, and it's a really very difficult situation for parents who have a baby with this kind of disorder. And we are working with large number of institutions in the country, the leading ones in the country, and we are being referred to, and then we formulate, and sometimes this has to be formulated and designed specific to the defect, the gene specific defect that the infant is suffering from.
Okay.
So we do that. Of course, there are about 15 of these inborn metabolic disorders. PKU is one, MSUD, maple syrup urine disorder, tyrosinemia. So like this, there are amino acid based, sugar based, fatty acid based disorders. So accordingly, in line with the defective gene, we have mastered this art of formulating food for the inborn metabolic disorders. We would be very happy to help anybody out there. Those who have a kid with this metabolic disorder, they can certainly contact us. We would be able to help them out.
That's very nice of you, Raghu. One more question is that, let's say firstly, I would like to ask, let's say if somebody does not go through gene screening, so there is no way to identify something like this, right?
No, see, even in expert hands, see, they would always attribute it to so many other reasons. So, of course, today the gene screening facilities are available in the country. Of course, abroad, whenever a child is born, they're normally screened for a few defective genes. But particularly in this case, when you know that the very mother's milk is building like a toxin, because of the amino acid, it builds like a toxin, and then it sometimes leads to coma, and they won't recover. So when they see a situation like this, a good expert hand would see this case and then see, oh, this is the time to look at this enzyme profiling and gene profiling and be able to do it. There are today a good number of, right here in Bangalore, there is a center called Center for Human Genetics. One of the finest institute. In Hyderabad, we have CCMB, Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology. So these centers are giving very good service. In fact, unlike the other laboratory, I don't know how expensive is the gene screening lab, the private labs are, but these are government labs. The Center for Human Genetics. I would say that they can approach them and subject the kid and get in touch with the doctor and see that whenever they face a problem like this, it is better that they screen the child for the gene defect. Otherwise, the wrong treatment, wrong, the right remedy for a wrong disease or whatever, it's going to be a mismatch, and this can be a problem. So I would say screen them for these defect using some of these best known centers, and then if they get in touch with us, we will be able to help with the right recipe, for the defective disorder.
Got it.
Yeah.
So the other question that I have is that let's say infant is diagnosed and then you probably design a food supplement for that patient. So how long do they have to take it, or is that going to be the case for their entire life?
It's a lifetime question, because what happens, see, unless in the future there may be a stem cell therapy, there may be a germline therapy, we don't know, it's possible that there could be, today they are talking about emerging science in terms of being able to edit a gene through a new technology called CRISPR Cas9 or the zinc finger nucleases and all that, where that there is a defect, properly gene diagnosis at the embryo level or at the fetus level, and then be able to edit. But it's very futuristic I'm talking about. But as of now, you cannot engineer a defective gene unless stem cell comes in or the gene editing comes in. Then probably I would say that science will have some answers for these problems.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I strongly feel now that that every parent needs to know about this problem, because it kind of gives them an understanding there is a possibility of probably their kid going through this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course, you see, in situations like that, they need not lose hope. They can make sure that we can provide solutions, and baby thrives well.
Right.
Baby thrives well. Of course, see, these solutions have their own context and constraints, but still there is a solution, and this is the only solution, because the only thing is that yes, you do not have an enzyme, you need to eat food that that does not have the nutrient that you don't have an enzyme for. So that's the only way that you can safeguard and bring your normal blood profile by eliminating the nutrient.